This is a foreword before the main video, but it was actually filmed after I'd made most of the video up. And when I started this video, I didn't realise how challenging it was going to be. So I thought I'd just do this piece to camera at the beginning. It could have been at the end, but I thought I'd put it at the beginning. So here I am sitting at my dining room table, the one that was freed up when the train set went upstairs into the loft. And before me is my trusty computer that runs my train set, does all my editing for me by things that I do to it, doesn't do it by itself. And generally is a very useful tool, I must admit. You know, what would we do without our computers, or our phones for that matter nowadays? So I've done this little foreword. I just wanted to clarify a bit. What I'm going to show you now is how I do my videos. YouTubers do their videos in all different ways, even train videos or model railway videos. And I'm no exception. I do what I want to do, as I think I say later in the film. But I'm hoping to show you, in my case, what goes into doing a video and getting it up onto YouTube so that you can see it. And I show you the editing where a lot of my stuff is done. And I think what I didn't make particularly clear was that when you see all those clips of film that you will see, I take little bits out of those and try and stitch them together to make the finished product. And those bits of film are in some cases quite long. And I might only use 10 seconds of that, or 20 seconds. Most of it goes on, or would have done in the old days, gone on the cutting room floor. In this case it goes into the hard disk and is kept in case, you never know. So I just thought I'd do this. And the thing I did forget, I think, right at the beginning is you've got to have the ideas. You know, you've got to have something coming into your brain that says, right, I'm going to make a video on this. Now, even a simple thing like a running session, you need to think, okay, what engines am I going to show? What rolling stocks am I going to connect up to it? And things you wouldn't even think of. Sometimes one train will run on one track, but you put it on another one and it will cause all sort of whoopsies, so to speak. And you might notice that I'm not particularly well lit here, and it's various reasons. I am too lazy to go up and get the big light from upstairs, which would have probably alleviated it. Secondly, I've got a window behind me, and as you can see the curtains are drawn, but it doesn't make a lot of difference, and I've got a door here. And I've got a light on there which is shining on me, but you know, backlit is horrible. You get a back shadow, you don't get the person. So this is all part of the filmmaking. So I hope what you're going to see now will help you if you're just starting out. And I will emphasise, absolutely emphasise, that this is the way I do it. You can do it a totally different way. You can use totally different equipment, and I'm sure you will. And you might have a totally different editing suite. And I think the thing I want to say is, don't be put off if you watch this video and thinking, oh, I need all that equipment. You don't. As I say in the film, mobile phone, shoot it, and if it's, you know, you're on the internet, you can go onto YouTube and upload it. You don't need to edit it, you don't need to do anything. Although, you know, modern mobile phones will edit it for you. So you don't need any of this. It's my preference. It's what I decided the way I would do it. Okay, everybody? So we'll now go into the beginning of this, and you haven't got a time warp. You are going to see the beginnings of the video that this was made upon. Okay? Cheers, everybody. Cheers. Well, hello everybody, welcome to Robert's Train Set. As you saw from the title, this is a BR Black steam running session, and in the picture at the moment are the three locos you will be seeing. Well, hello everybody, welcome to Robert's Train Set. As you saw, this is the introduction. So in case you've not seen my channel before, hopefully, just a quick resume of where I am. I think the first thing to say right off is I'm no expert. I'm absolutely not an expert at this. Having only started in January 2018 with the train set. Not here, downstairs. And I didn't start filming or putting films on YouTube until December of that year, so quite a while. Why am I doing this? So as you saw from the title, it's basically how I do a YouTube video. Now everybody does their own YouTube videos differently, and I'm probably no exception. And you film the way you want it to appear, perhaps. So very quickly, I try to not make my trains going around this layout, which is only 10 foot long by 4 foot wide basically, not be too boring, because let's face it, watching a train going round and round is quite boring. I'm sure we'd all agree with that. So how do I overcome this? What I try to do is have a lot of different shots of the same train, and I also try and progress it around the layout. So you might see one shot from this level crossing here, and then the next shot will take up as it's just past the level crossing and carrying on. And I do that and try and do that all the way around. Now, I'm going to just show you how I managed to do that. If I was super intelligent, which I'm not, I'd probably work out a clapperboard like they do in the movies and shoot each bit individually that I need. Not that clever. And to be honest, I can't be bothered to sit down and work it all out. So in this video, I shall show you briefly how I managed to do what I do, and not so much the techniques that I use, because I'm sure everybody uses the same sort of techniques, but I'll just show you, using the camera, what camera for what shot, and so forth and so forth. What you saw at the beginning is obviously the thumbnail that preceded my video that this is based on, which was aired about 2 weeks ago. Since then I've had a live stream, so that was the thumbnail that I make, and I have done a video on how I do them, albeit slightly changed now, because I have found that you can take a picture from your actual video and use it for your thumbnail, which I didn't think you could do. You learn all the time in this hobby. So the next bit was obviously a bit of my title, so my channel title video, which I put on all the fronts and the ends of my videos, which is a completely separate bit of film, which I won't go into how I filmed it because it's fairly obvious, I think. And then finally you just saw the beginning of that video. So I'll show you the camera I used to take that shot and how. It's not difficult. The other shots around the layout with different cameras, I shall just show you where I put them and what it entails, really. I will use snippets of that video to illustrate hopefully what I'm trying to say. So I think this will conclude the introduction. So for this second part of the film, as you saw, it's the equipment that you might need. I'm going to use a technique that we use quite a bit. I'm going to take the camera off the tripod that it's on at the moment, filming me, and do a hands-free showing you the various bits of equipment that I have. So here are my 3 extra cameras. I am of course filming these on my main camera, which I will show you in a moment. But I did actually start all my YouTube videos with this Panasonic still camera basically, and it didn't do a bad job. I would say its only fault was it was very slow on refocusing when maybe a train came from behind a building and then carried on. It was very slow. Might look at like a GoPro camera, but it's actually not. It's quite a cheap one from Lidl's. It does some nice shots, and I shall show you. And you can do it as it is at the moment, just the camera. You can put it into the holder there, and that raises it up, and you can angle it. Or if you look at the bottom of it, it does actually have a connection to go onto a tripod. And the final one here is the Polaroid Q Plus, which is a lovely little camera. It's got Wi-Fi in it if you want to use it. I tend not to. I tend to just judge where to put it and thing. This is the one that I use for my driver view, so to speak, or you know, my running alongside when it's moving, which I will show you in the filming sequence later on. So this is my main video camera. Again, it's a Panasonic. I seem to rather like Panasonic equipment. And as you can see, on top of it's got a Rode microphone, which you plug in. Don't forget to turn it on. And it runs on batteries, the microphone. As does, of course, all the cameras. But it's not a bad little camera. And it wasn't overly expensive, I would say, being a slightly older model. But as you can see, it's a reasonable thing. I get a nice feel when I'm actually holding it in the hand, and it works very well on its tripod, which at the moment is extended all the way down there, so that you can get the shots of me from a long way away, basically. As you can see there in the background, and if I go in slowly with all the reflection that it did, I have used in the past this tablet to film, and it's not bad. It doesn't film a bad job. I use it a lot more now for when I'm on the live streams to get a picture of what hopefully my viewers are seeing, which isn't all that good. But they don't come on my live stream for the pictures, they come on for the chat and the sort of being able to talk to each other, really, I think. But the other thing you need, and I think it is quite important, as you can see, I'm holding this camera in my hand and I'm moving it very slowly and trying not to jar it. And I think it's very important to try and get steady shots. Now you can't, obviously, when you've got a train running, hold the camera in one place. You have to move it around. And if you can do it on top of a tripod, that I think is the best outcome. The picture is fairly steady and you've got a hand free to operate other things. And the other thing that is important, and I think a lot of people do forget, is yes, the fan for when it's hot, but also you need light. And I've got this movie light which I can sort of focus in and out, and I can even change from white light to yellow light if I want. Not that I use yellow light. And I hope I don't blind you, but I do obviously have, I've got a fluorescent light there, which was the original light in the loft before I converted. And believe it or not, these are old dining room lights, which do seem to work. And in the background there is a work light, basically, again another Lidl's acquisition. And I used to have it on a stand. It came with a stand, but it wasn't high enough, so I've actually connected it up there. I will give you some information on this later on in the filming sequences. I must admit, at the moment I've only got the lights that you've just seen that are on, and it's on this camera. It's not too bad. It's not too bad. It's not great, but I still think I could do with some more light even at this stage. So I shall probably look into doing that. And then the final camera, and for this I will need to pan in, it's sitting over there. That's it there, and it's fixed onto a magnet and actually plugs directly into my computer that I have up here to run the trains anyway and do the live streams. And that is a Panasonic camera that used to be was bought to use on a Panasonic TV, which I unfortunately no longer have, but it does work, and it's for my streams because it's not super HD or anything like that, which would struggle on my broadband. So that's my other camera. So as you can see, I've got a certain amount of equipment. I mean, none of it's particularly expensive, but you can equally, of course, always use the trusty piece of high technical equipment that you have in your pocket most of the time, namely your mobile phone. This is really an old mobile phone. I don't really use this for filming, but you know, the modern generation of 4G phones, and probably the 5G when they come along, they're phenomenal. You know, they really do film very, very well. So you don't have to have any of this equipment. You can just use your phone and film your railway and put it on YouTube. So I think this concludes a bit on equipment. There's obviously little bits and pieces you need, but you don't need them. You don't have to have them. You don't have to have any of this stuff. Just your phone, or you know, any camera that will take video. I don't think. I think as you get into YouTube, you might want to improve the quality that you can do. But it doesn't matter, you've got to start somewhere, as I did. Look at my first one. Yes, look at my first one and some of my subsequent ones, which is why I basically did the sort of filming I've just explained, because my first ones were round and round and round, and yes, they are boring. They are boring, absolutely. So we'll now go on to the next section, which is the filming part. One might say this is the most important part of making a video for YouTube, because without the proper film, you've got nothing. It doesn't matter how good you are in editing or any of the other bits, if you haven't got the proper film, you're nowhere. So keep it in focus if you can. Try and make it steady and not jerky. It can be quite difficult. So what I've done in this section is I've taken very small snippets out of the whole video, and to be honest, the major part of it is right at the beginning, because basically I use most of the techniques that I use at the beginning, and I shall just do a little piece to camera to show you how that was achieved. So let's carry on, and we'll start off with the first clip. Well, hello everybody, welcome to Robert's Train Set. So for that first clip, and that's obviously you saw that right at the beginning of this video, this was the setup. The camera on the tripod, from the floor, and just aimed and zoom in as you need to or not, as the case may be. So fairly straightforward and no problem. So for the second shot, really basically the same setup, just obviously zoomed in a lot for nearer to the logo, maybe raised height a little piece or whatever, and yeah, there you are. Now for this third shot, I used the GoPro type camera that I showed you earlier, and basically I'll show you the position that it was put in. So as you can see, the camera on the bed of the railway, just behind the signal, and just pointing at the loco. I sometimes tip them up slightly with a stone or something under, or put them in that little carriage it can go in to get to lose some of the view above that you don't want to see, but not always. So again, this is just, you just set the camera and let it film and then do what you want to do. So now for number 4, it gets a bit more interesting. Here I use my little Polaroid Q Plus on its truck, and when I was filming this would have had the Hornby 37 connected to it to push it round the layout when I needed. But for this particular shot it was just sitting there looking at the loco in front of it. Now up until now all the cameras that I've shown you that I've been using have needed as much light on the subject as I can. But when you get to this one it changes. As I said in the piece on the equipment, the light that is fixed to the post from Lidl's, the work lights, are LEDs, and these interfere with this camera, so I tend to turn those off if I'm using this camera. But it's basically straightforward, so you just turn it on, get it filming, and then do your operating of the trains. So I thought you might like to have another look at this Polaroid Cube Plus on its truck, and I shall pick it up for you. And as you can see, it's basically just the chassis of a wagon. I've got the 2-ounce weight on the back to stabilise it, and if you take the camera off, underneath is a bit of black tape, and underneath that is a big washer, and on the underside of the camera is a big magnet, and you just literally just pop it on and you can turn it round and do wherever you want. And this will obviously be pushed or pulled depending on the shots that you want to get. Now for the next shot I use the same rig, so the Polaroid Cube Plus on its little truck, along with, as I said before, the Hornby 37, and that was pushed very slowly as the train pulled away from the station. Fairly simple and straightforward. And I think it's fairly obvious for number 6 clip. We reverted back to the main camera on the tripod and just followed it along. And obviously for number 7 we went back to the Polaroid Q Plus on its truck with it reverted round the other way, so the 37 diesel was pulling it rather than pushing it, and that's the shot you get. Remembering obviously to turn off the LED lights up in the roof. So for clip number 9, actually it's 2 clips. First bit is obviously filmed from the Polaroid Q Plus, being pushed by the Hornby 37. The second bit of video you see is obviously filmed by my GoPro type, set there behind the level crossing gates. The thing to remember here is they're obviously 2 separate shots, because with the GoPro I need all the lights on because it's not very good in low light, but with the Polaroid Q Plus I need the LEDs off up in the roof. This is the sort of things I do with my videos. I show the loco coming up to the level crossing and then a picture from a different angle of it going across the level crossing or just past it or whatever I want. So that's why that one's like that. It's in the same medium, so filmed with the Polaroid Q Plus being pulled by the 37 down the line, as you can see here. The shot from the Polaroid Q Plus is then taken over by the Panasonic camcorder on its tripod, just moving down the track with it zoomed in. So that's how we do them, and that's basically the elements that you use to film most of the video. If you remember, you saw the locomotive and the train coming down this line being followed by the Polaroid, and halfway through it did its horn. How do I do a horn when my control system is over the other side of the layout? Simple really. I just set the mouse cursor on the screen over the whistle I want to do, take the mouse with me, and then just push the button when I want it to do it, and that works quite well. I did these last couple of shots there just to show you, if you've got these little small cameras, they are quite handy. You can stand them as this one on the first clip you saw on the end of the platform and get the train running through, or you can move the camera and, as you see, put it on the end of that platform to get the shot of it pulling away, and it's all nice and easy. It's not difficult. Just set the camera going and then do what you need to do. I'm sure, having seen that last clip, I should think you all know where that was filmed from. Yes, that was from my fixed camera up in my roof, the Panasonic one from the TV that I use for my live streams, but I also use it for video recording as well for my uploads, and it works quite well. Panasonic camcorder, handheld, following the locomotive down the track, as I'm now doing with my Panasonic film camera, and it's not too difficult. You need to keep it fairly steady and not try and shake too much. And the final film shot of the guards van was taken obviously with my Panasonic camcorder on its tripod in this sort of position. It's very difficult to film here. You've got your head stuck up inside and you almost have to turn the screen down so you can see what you're doing. But I think it makes quite an effective shot for the last bit of film on the railway. And obviously the next shot, as you will see, is not on the railway. They're my subscribers I've gained and the subscribers I've lost. And the last shot on that video is of my computer screen, and you won't be surprised to know that that was taken from my computer screen, which will feature quite a bit in the next segments of this video. Well everybody, I hope what I've shown you is informative. There are obviously loads of different techniques you can use to film your train set, or for that matter anything else. I've fixed the small cameras, both the GoPro type and the Polaroid type, to part of my train. So either to the back of a shunter, a Hornby 08 shunter, which there's a video of, or on the side of a Pullman carriage. Some of those are, one is early and one is fairly late that I did. So there's a whole range of possibilities with the cameras that I have, and as I've said, you don't need it. You can just have a mobile phone, as loads and loads of YouTubers use, and they get very good results out of them. But I would say it's quite difficult fitting a mobile phone to the back of a 00 gauge train. You might be able to do it on an O gauge, but 00 I don't think so. So it's versatility, I would say. So I'm up here in the loft for the last time for this video, as it's now getting rather warm at 27.5 degrees, and I hope the wind is rather blowing today. This has been filmed quite a while ago from when you're seeing it now, and it was a windy day. So if you hear the wind, it's outside, it's not in the loft, thankfully, although a bit of breeze might be quite nice. So I'm getting a bit hot, and I'm now going to go down and get what I've filmed up here today onto the computer, and then I will do the rest of the sections, which are basically computer based. So I'll probably just do a voiceover on what I'm showing. So you've got your film in the can, in the cameras, but you obviously need to download it, and all my cameras download through USB. And this is what happens when you plug a camera in to the USB and turn it on. We get the old ding dong, and then up comes your folders, and this is what's actually in the camera. So you click on the folder of your camera's choice, you get through to the hard disk of that camera or the card, and there's all your stuff. And what we want today are these two here, which you've just seen, and we have the opportunity either to choose this place to download them, or if it's already in the list, click on it, which is what I'm going to do now. There it is. And being photos, they're gone in an instant, so it's all done. And then all that remains to be seen is to disconnect the camera, which you do need to do in the appropriate manner. Unplug it, and there we are. So we get the old editing suite up. Power Director 16 is the one I use. Cyberlink, I find it quite useful. So what I want to do is I want to download media. So you click on the appropriate one, either files or folder in this particular case, and I go to my videos, as so, and then hunt round and find the one you want. I do believe that's the one. Click on that, comes up in the thing, and open it. Takes a bit longer than that to open, and I also wanted another one, which is my opening sequences. So find that again, and whoop, there it is. There's only two on that, so it's quite quick. And then you take the bits you want and put them in your line there. Find the end bit. I always put the opening sequence and the closing sequence as soon as I start, and I always try and keep the end sequence beyond the furthest back, so that when you get to an end of a bit of film, it doesn't revert back to the beginning, which is what it does if you don't have anything there. I also needed another bit of stuff that I'd put on another file, so I brought that in. And as you can see, this is the opening sequence that you saw a couple of weeks ago. So always check what's on it, and if need be, chop bits off. In this particular case, it was fine, and let's play a little bit. Well, hello everybody, welcome to Robert's Train Set. As you saw from the title, this is a BR Black Steam running session, and in the picture at the moment are the three locos you will be seeing. So I think that's enough of that, isn't it? And I've just needed all of that, so I moved it up against the opening sequence, and I brought in the next bit, which I think is the close-up of the P2. There it is. Which you saw where the camera was. So again, you just look through it, and what I found with this is where you can see the little blips in the sound file, that's where it's all started getting off. But you don't use the whole of that bit. What you do is you chop it up into little bits so that it's a lot shorter. Because you can see that if you use the whole of this bit right up to where it really goes squiggly, that would be quite a bit of film. So the squiggly bit is this. So I chop that down. I haven't this particular time because this is just a demonstration bit. And what I want to do now is I want to save it, and I've got to give it a title. So I'll give it a rubbish title. And we don't always spell correctly the first time, do we? Easily corrected though. There we are. And then click save, basically. And little box will come up and it will show it saving it, as you can see. There we are, and it's saved under that title. So I'll now open the original file that video was made from, and I hope you can see how much you chop up your film. I finally found it, have I? Well done. So needless to say, it takes a little while to download. But you can see, I hope, that we have the opening sequence, the long bit with me talking, and then look at all the little bits that we're now showing. You can see, can't you? So I've saved that again, and I usually do it twice, and boom, out we go. So here we are back at the desktop, and what I'm going to show you now is I'm going to bring up my folders with all the film that I've taken. These are all my separate folders for the individual videos I've done over the past few months or even years possibly. I do save quite a bit of it onto another hard disk. And as you can see, this is the Steam one number 2, and these are all the individual pieces of film I took. And if you look, you can see when I hold the cursor over the length of those bits of film. I'm not doing all of them, it will take too long. And as you can see at the end here, they're quite short, some of them. But if you think, and this is the first lot of ones I did, and you can see there's quite a few bits of film on here. And again, look at the length of the time that they are. And bearing in mind the whole video was only about 17 minutes long, you can see how it cuts a lot off. This is the one from the camera that's fixed up on the roof that I use for my live stream, and if you look at the length of that one, that is over an hour long. So these are little bits from that an hour and 15 minutes I think it was, and that wasn't even the whole recording part. This was only the second bit, I believe. And as you can see, I've got the old little red camera going round following the trains. This is right at the end. I've finished, back to desktop, and I bring up the recorder for recording these screenshots and finish it. So we're now going to go and produce what we've just produced, and I'm going to use that bit of film that we saw earlier that I called rubbish. I'm just going to move it all back together again and save it and whatever. And then I'm going to go up the top and show you, that's edit, that's where you do all your work to make the movie. And then once you've done, when you're ready, you produce. You push the button and it comes up and brings up another screen eventually. And what I'm going to show you now is, that is what I used to record on. So that's the codec sort of thing. And I now record on that one, which is what I've got for recording this. So you can see the various things I've got. So I'm now going to go down and say, go for it. So it's going to start producing. And you'll see these over here changing, showing the countdown, how long it's going to take. It takes longer to do it in this codec than it did in the old one, but then this is a lot shorter to upload by a considerable amount of time. And the reason we produce it is to connect all those separate bits of film that we see together. So I don't really want to produce this bit of rubbishy film, so I'm going to stop it. And we're going to end up back at the desktop. So once it had been produced, it would appear in this folder here, which is part of the Cyberlink part, and it would appear like down the bottom of this lot as a file. And for the sake of doing this one, I'll just use that photo. And what we want to do is we want to put it into that folder there, where I put all my ready ones to upload. Basically, you just do that with the whole folder and in it goes, and it will disappear. There we are. So if we go back into that folder that we've just put that in, you'll see that it's there, isn't it? But what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the original one, and you see what size that was, the megabytes on these ones, and you see how big they are compared to the finished file. We now have a file, a movie ready to go to YouTube. So in the next section we'll see how we do that. YouTubers use all different methods to upload, so this is my way. So the first port of call is to actually get on YouTube, of course. So here we are, doing what we need to do. Rather speeded up, as you can imagine. On this page you can obviously see what video is up, my subscriber base, and how many views. So get into here after pushing the upload button, and get into the files, find the right files. Can't emphasize enough how important it is to mark up what your files are so that you can find them again. It's no good just leaving numbers, I don't think. You know, you do need to put some words to it. So we've got the right file there, and there's our what's the name, and highlight it, and it starts going. Whoosh, the arrow goes. It's all very much speeded up. Need a thumbnail. You need to make it before, and you need to know where it is and stored and find it, which can be quite difficult. It's something you get used to, I think. But there we are. And what are we looking for? I think it might be that one. And down the bottom, and that's where everything is stored in this case, and it's right at the beginning there. And these are all the thumbnails I've made that I've put up since I started doing thumbnails. So as you can see, quite a few. They're usually down the bottom, the latest ones, so I don't tend to mark them up that well. You can usually recognise what they are. That's what we want. Highlight it and pop. It's there, look, and it is that quick. Pretty good. So we go to the next page. And
I don't do much on this, so don't bother. Here I just need to, I always upload them before they're due to go, and you can choose what day it goes. In this particular instance, it's usually the day after, but you can choose any day, you know, right away. And what time you want it to appear. The thing to remember is always to allow enough time for it to actually upload. So I usually put my stuff up at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. So, right, carry on. So schedule that. Again, this takes a bit longer than I'm showing here. And as you can see here now, it's already uploaded a bit, and it's telling me how long it's going to take. Now, as you can see, click that off and you get a little thing. You must leave this up while it loads. And, you know, it's going to take 2 hours odd to upload. It probably took a little bit longer than that. But if I'd have done it in the old format that I showed you, that might have taken 10 hours to upload it. Don't want to keep this, I've already uploaded it, so we're going to finish it. So there we go, and then we'll go out of this and back to the old thing. So there we are, all done.